Hello, I'm Alim Jadavji and welcome to this episode of Released Voices, the series dedicated to amplifying underrepresented voices and authentic stories. Today I'm meeting Olivia Morton, who went from fighting fit to emergency brain surgery within a matter of weeks, with the recovery period afterwards having a significant effect on her physical and mental health. How do you come to terms with such a big life event, and how do you process the trauma your body has experienced? Take me right back to the beginning. When did you realise something wasn't quite right?
I was on holiday with my best friend in Portugal, and I remember walking down, I think we were going to the beach, and I got the worst headache ever, like incredibly painful. Fell to the floor, and this woman, bless her, was like, oh, I've got like a ibuprofen in my bag. Carried on with the holiday, everything was normal, and then I kept getting like slight headaches in the night, but it wasn't something I was really worried about. And I was just really snotty. So this was the end of September, beginning of October now, and I was just taking painkillers, like everything was fine. And woke up and was like, my eyes swollen. So I was like, oh my God.
That sounds absolutely terrifying. Did you go to see your doctor?
I went to A&E because I had fever as well. And they were like, oh, you've not got a fever now? I was like, no, I've had a fever for like the past 3 days, like please help me. And because when I went into the room, I didn't have a fever and everything looked fine. They were like, there's nothing we can do, like everything's fine. And I was like, I know I'm not okay. So I managed to get an appointment at the out of hours GP. She prescribed me amoxicillin. Which are antibiotics? Antibiotics, yes. And she was like, just take them, do amoxicillin, paracetamol, ibuprofen, and just keep sort of going through that.
Did it work?
No. I don't know whether it didn't work because I was unable to take them because I was so out of it, or if they just weren't having an effect on me. My boyfriend's like, okay, I'm going to come over and look after you. So he stays, I think, for 2 nights. And I woke up one morning and I was like, I'm feeling a lot better. I'm going to go to work today. And he was like, don't go in today. If you feel like you can go out, just go across the road to Tesco's, come back, rest. And I was like, okay. So I didn't go to work. And then that's the night that it all kicked off.
What happened?
I hadn't been replying to Cam's messages and he was getting worried because I'm always on my phone. And my last memory is lying in bed. I'm very snotty, tissues all over. I'm just lying in my own tissues. And I remember having this seizure. I've not had a seizure before, but it's everything that I ever thought it would be, but 100 times worse and terrifying. And I remember lying back, like my whole body turned into like a prawn, but the other way around. My neck locked, my hands locked, and it was just like a proper full-on, I think they call them clonic seizures, but it was crazy. And I remember being so scared and being like, this is it.
You thought you were going to die?
Yeah, 100%. And I was like, this can't happen. You're home by yourself. So I remember my hand going crazy and I was like trying to reach my phone, but it just wasn't getting into my hand. And I remember just being like, stop it, Olivia, stop, stop, stop. And that is the end of what I remember from that day.
So your partner found you hours later?
Yeah, he came in and he was confused. He didn't know what was going on. He called 111. The first person wasn't really responsive. The second, it was a man and he was amazing. And my mum always says like he is part of the reason that you're still here, because he made Cam put me on the phone and I couldn't respond. And he was like, that isn't normal. You need to call the ambulance now.
And when you went to hospital, did they manage to work out what the problem was?
I remember a CT scan and then a MRI. And I think they knew straight away that it was an infection.
Where was the infection?
It was in my brain. So the reason my eye was swollen is because they believe it started in my sinuses, went through the eye, up through into the brain. Now I Googled it, it says it's very common in children, but not so much in adults.
What did they decide to do?
I was too far gone for it to be just treated with antibiotics. They were like, we're going to have to operate, which is a craniotomy, which is essentially where they remove the skull to access the brain, clear out the infection, and then replace the skull afterwards.
How did the operation go?
It went well. There's something, I forgot the scientific word, but it's an infection level, and on a normal healthy adult it's between like 1 and 6. I was at like 400 and something. So it was really, really bad.
Tell me about your recovery period. What was that like?
My brain was really swollen after the operation, so it took me quite a while to recover in hospital. They couldn't fully put my skull back down because my brain was so swollen, so they had to put hinges in and let it close back on its own. Well, they put me on steroids to help with the swelling, and as soon as they took me off them, it was like the worst pain. So that is the peak of pain, screaming, causing a scene in the hospital, just desperately in need of painkillers. I always say to people that the hardest part for me wasn't the physical recovery, it was afterwards. They just sort of did this crazy massive surgery to me and they were like, okay, go now, you're healthy, which I do understand. But emotionally, I didn't realize how badly it affected me at the time.
And how did it affect you?
I was on these pills called Keppra, anti-epilepsy medication, and they are known to make people quite low. And I mean, I was in my darkest days, so January through to Valentine's Day. I've never felt so low. I remember one night we were at a pub and some guy said something stupid and rude and offensive, and I was just like, oh God, left so upset. And I remember getting back to my boyfriend's house and being like, saving my life is the worst thing you could have done.
Did you get support for your mental health?
I went to doctors, I was like, something's wrong with me. I'm saying stupid things, I'm saying things to my boyfriend, he's worried about me. The littlest things are pushing me over the edge, I need some help. So they switched me to lamotrigine, which is a similar medication but with less side effects. Since then, I mean, my mood is a lot more stable, but that's when the real work began, I think.
When did you feel things were relatively normal again?
Obviously, they had to shave my head to cut in and do all of that. And I'm obsessed with my hair. It's part of who I am. Every time I looked in the mirror, I'd just cry. Seeing the growth in my hair shows how long I've been on the recovery journey. And that was just one thing that sort of gave me hope. But for a long time, I'd say, like, I'm broken, like I'm not right. I'd have all these sensations, and I still have them now, but I know that it's just my body healing. Whereas before I was like, you're broken, you're a mess. You're never going to be the same again.
Your hair means a lot to you then?
Yeah, it does. I mean, being a black woman, you just want to do your hair really big and go out and just conquer the world. But at the time I was like, you've got no hair, like you've lost some of you, like you've lost the piece that makes you who you are. It might have helped because I had a woman doctor. She kept the tiniest little bit and it was tied off. It was a tiny little strip in hindsight, but that made it a little bit less difficult.
Are there any long-term health implications that you live with as a result?
Yes, 80% of people who have brain surgery are epileptic. And it's such a broad spectrum of what that means. Some people have 100 seizures a day, some people just don't. I still take daily anti-epilepsy medications. I don't know when I'll come off it. I still can't drive or anything. I still have moments where I'm like, I'm gonna have a seizure right now. And I try and explain it. It's hard to explain if you've never had a seizure, but the noise in films when people die, that really high-pitched noise, that is the noise that I hear. I remember hearing before I had my seizure, and I hear that now. And that obviously takes me all the way back, and I'm like, oh my God, this is the moment.
So on reflection, what would you have done differently if you could?
I probably would have gone and pushed and been like, something is not right with me. I urge everyone, all the time, if you don't feel right, you know your body, you've just got to trust yourself and you've just got to get checked because you have no idea what's going on. Like I had a snotty nose and had my skull cut open.
How have you managed to heal from the trauma your body has experienced?
Therapy's helped, exploring who I am and diving deep into all of those things. I mean, I didn't think I needed help, but I did, and the things about me that happen on a day-to-day actually do sometimes link back to those moments. I wrote a lot down, just like today I'm feeling like this, or yesterday I had a really low thought, and whatever it may be, I got a lot out. I sang in my room a lot. I just spent time trying to feel normal, so I guess like watching films. It's a journey, I'm still on the journey, and still sometimes I look in the mirror and you can see very slightly that you know, my skull's not in the perfect place and I'll just break down and then I'm mad at myself and I'm like, but you've come so far. Why are you crying about that? So just being forgiving and just being like, you know what, you're going to have to live with this forever.
What is the difference between Olivia before the surgery and Olivia after the surgery?
I think I'm a lot more grounded, kinder and more honest with myself, who I am, what I want to be spending my time doing. I take life a little bit more seriously now, and I feel like that doesn't mean I'm boring. I feel like I want to have a focus and I want to have a goal. Every day is a reason to have the best day of your life, whether it's, I don't know, something as ridiculous as I had a really good night's sleep, or I made someone laugh, or I don't know, I had a really good conversation with someone and it made us feel great. We connected in a different way. Like every day just being the best day in some small way.
For anyone watching that might relate to your story, what advice would you give them?
It takes time and actually feel everything, because a lot of people are like, oh, just get up and go, you know, fake it till you make it. And I don't believe in that at all. And I think actually like being self-indulgent and feeling sad and mad and alone and all of that actually helps. And at the end of it, you'll come out so strong. Don't feel bad to just sit in your room and cry for a day. It's fine. You should just do that if you need to. So just feel everything all the time.
Thank you for sharing your story with me today.
No problem.
Thank you so much for watching today. Be sure to follow, like and share this video, and keep watching for more Released Voices.